Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue unpacking some classical China era's core concepts. And later we'll be talking about the language, about the thinking, about the debate. And today is language again. I translate the words. Just so you know, English and Chinese, they may not be one-on-one mapping to each other. So this is my best effort to find the closest possible English equivalent to this Chinese concept. Yan is today's word. One word a day. So the word. Well, here is words. It's really not a singular character because singular character we have this pictograph wen as kind of a picture and to represent a meaning. That's the beginning of Chinese meaning building blocks, those like Lego blocks that you can build on top of that. But here, words as a collective way of all the words singular character put together as a collective operating system as a language. So language is a system, right? The single words or single Lego pieces by itself doesn't really come to very much of a function. But when you have a collective of Lego pieces or words, and then the combination of them or the messages or meanings we created behind them are almost like infinity, unbounded. However I say it, like right now I'm recording, I'm fully aware of the language generating in my brain and uttered out to this microphone. Each moment may be different. It's really truly generative. I don't have script of here. But here we're talking about language itself. How exciting. Yan, in simplified version, it's three horizontal lines on top of one box and finished by the cherry on the top. It looks almost like a wedding cake of sorts, right? But no, it's way more profound than that commercial thing. Okay, yeah, sorry. Wedding cake is a commercial thing. Words or language itself that's made of so many different words. The combination of words, right? The syntax, the syntactic or semantics, phonetics, like all the areas that we study about a language is simply boiled down to this simple structure. We came across this symbol several times in the previous episodes. So here again, just looking at the structure by itself, you can see simplified the traditional, they are horizontalized, it's straightened out. But if you look at 2000 years ago's script language, it's curves. And then here there's a vertical line connecting this. It is a pointer to point inside this pot-looking thing. And this pot-looking thing with two handles, you can view it as a rice cooker. And that cookware eventually got associated with the diner, which make our mouse symbol. And of course, mouse is our human organs as a consumption unit, we input food, but also as a production function, as the output of a language. And language is a carrier of our thoughts. And this mouse symbol, eventually in Chinese, we use it as mouse count. We don't use head count. We don't count the whole head. We actually abstract the whole human thing into a mouse symbol. And we, like household, how many people in your household, right? How many people, the unit of a people count in Chinese is mouse. How many mouse do you have in your household? So this house symbol paired with this two convex thing with a one pointer down, that's sharp thing, looking thing going down, that symbol here means entering the mouse. And the second convex thing intersecting with this vertical line means inside So you're entering, right? And then you have this the previous space and entered space. And where it's intersecting is on that vertical thing, that sharp thing. And that sharp thing is supposed to be entering or puncturing through a barrier that's inside the thing that you try to enter. So this intersection gives you the kind of attention pointer, almost like an arrow pointing in today's icons to or human symbols to express things to tell you that inside is where we're talking about. So if this convex thing with the vertical line means enter, and then this means inside whatever you're entering into. And that paired with mouth symbol means inside the mouth, and that is the tongue. So we have both. To make the tongue concept, we have to have the mouth concept, right? So it's nested. And we have both the mouth and the tongue in this frame are the major organs to produce speech. And the two horizontal lines on the top are, you can view it as sound bites that travel, diminishing over time and space. And that is the result, the product of speech. And below the mouth and the tongue are the organs that produce, the mechanisms that produce speech. So we have both the production and the product of speaking. And the speaking all together, yan eventually just become, we can translate the speaking, the acts of speaking, but the result here, the words are the end result is the product of speaking. And then collectively, everybody speaks all that, the operating system of that. This language thing is more equivalent of the yan. So I simply put as words. It's more like language. Okay. 方言, local words. It's a Chinese way to say dialects. So it's not, I guess before we have mass communication that's broadcast within the nation, that everybody hear the same sound, same pronunciation. Every local, regional area will have their own words, their own expressions, their own pronunciations. But the beauty of Chinese as a written pictographic language is that no matter how they sound distinctly different, like me going to southern China, I have no clue what they're talking about. But we can read from the same book. They all look the same. Visual cue is the ultimate unifying factor here. Doesn't matter, what kind of pronunciation that is. But the 方言here, the dialects, means the pronunciation different, and there are some local based expressions. Simply it's more popular locally. Now with the social media and I guess YouTube or TikTok Chinese version, then people can share thoughts to a broader geographic region, and then I'm guessing this dialects, this local things are not getting localized that much. It's more nationwide, or however the media can cover. All right, 言语, verbal speech. So we talked about yesterday, it's my words. So it's a speech. And 言 is everybody using the same language. And I translate as verbal because I want to emphasize. Here we have mouth, tongue, and the speech as a sound bites represented here. So it's more about verbal communication. And when we're talking about how those pictographs, those visual imageries in Chinese as a basic building block of, the starting point of meaning making, right? From the physical representation to more abstract ideographs to the combinations, all kinds of it. It's really unlimited, the capacity of this language to absorb our human experience, to crystallize into such characters. And when we say 文言, 文 means such text-based, and 言 is language, right? Words. And so when actually in our contemporary Chinese context, When we say 文言, that's 文. There's another more subtle meaning of 文 that's not commonly used. 文 almost means distilled or elegant. It's not everyday crude language or rough or grounded language. It's a more refined language that probably deserve to be passing down to generation, kind of like a Shakespearean English, if you want to picture it. So 文言 in Chinese almost say that's classical Chinese. It's not our everyday language. So in my Chinese education, besides the everyday like Chinese words I'm talking about here, we have a segment of normally at the end of every textbook of such 文言文. So 言 sandwiched by two 文 there. So we're talking about the text from ancient classical Chinese text, either is poetry or like 论语. We talked about analytic of Confucius, the conversations of the ancient philosophers, teachings or poetries from the past. That's used distinctively different from today's contemporary Chinese that we just casually use our words. It's no longer the value of each words, the accuracy of the words, the expressiveness of the words, the magic of the words were diluted so much. So that's our contemporary Chinese. And then in that textbook, they're reserved a small part that can point you to feel connected to the same words, but somehow in ancient times preserved in the canons, Chinese canons of the past generations of language users, the philosophers, the poets, the social commentators, the politicians back then, generals, whatever worthy that got preserved over time. And that's our 文言文, that's elegant or refined words segment. And so even if I translate that simply as a text words, but those texts are precious, highbrow text that's pointing to the ancient creations of language use. It's not everyday language. So here we go. Words, 言. Thank you for your time. See you another day.